Fox 32 Chicago Sports. This is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Bears with a huge opportunity to get back in the win column. They've got the Bengals in Cincinnati this Sunday. Let's bring in Cassie Carlson. She's been covering the Bears all week long at Hallis Hall. Cassie, great to see you. This, in my opinion, is such a huge game for the Bears and Caleb Williams as well. Schedule gets significantly tougher in the middle of November and then for the rest of the season. They have to take advantage of struggling teams like the Bengals, and the offense has no excuses this Sunday. Cincinnati with the worst defense in football. Bears, 1 touchdown, 16 points last week. Not acceptable this Sunday. This week in Cincinnati, how can the Bears attack the Bengals defense?
Well, you just mentioned the Bengals have the worst defense in the NFL right now. They're giving up the most points per game, the most yards per game, and the most rushing yards per game. But I think you narrow this in and look at the red zone and see if the Bears can take advantage of the worst ranked red zone defense out in Cincinnati that's giving up a touchdown 70% of the time. But we know that the Bears have struggled in the red zone as of late. In their last 3 games, they've gone 5 of 16. And it's been a point of emphasis, really, and a talking point over the last 3 weeks of how they can turn those field goals into touchdowns. Now, offensive coordinator Declan Doyle spoke today, and he said it's a lot about details.
Pulling up that last game, you know, you might look at it and say, hey, there's one play. I look at it and there's 4 plays that if our precision and our detail is better on any one of those 4 plays, we probably come away with 7 points in both of those first 2 drives. And that's the thing that we have to really hone in. And there's no magic answer. If there was, we'd be going out and doing it. But it's really our ability to execute with the precise details, what we're asking our guys to do in those critical moments are going to lead to 7s rather than 3s.
Coming off of that Baltimore game, they need to flip the page quickly and find a way to get back in the win column.
All right, Cassie, Bears' top 4 receivers did not practice yesterday. What is their status today?
Yeah, really good to see DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Olamide Zaccheaus back on the practice field in some form or fashion here today, because that would be a huge concern when you're going into a game, despite the Bengals having one of the worst defenses, not having your top targets. And I think you're looking at Caleb Williams trying to take the next step in the passing game and get his completion percentage up. We know the explosive plays have been there over the course of the season, but trying to find some of those shorter plays, and you got to have all your weapons.
I want to talk about the other side of the football as well. Both coordinators talked to the media today. One of the main reasons the Bears signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson on Wednesday was his relationship with Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator, who he played for in New Orleans 2019 through 2021. What did Allen have to say about C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
Yeah, well, I loved what he had to say about just the way he plays and his presence on the field, because it's been a topic of conversation that he's an instigator. And while C.J. Gardner-Johnson might fight back on those words, the tape kind of tells it all. And we referenced the 2 former Bears receivers who were ejected from games for getting into it with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. By the way, he goes by CD here in Chicago. So Dennis Allen has familiarity with him back when he was a rookie in New Orleans. And there he said he was just a competitor. He's a fiery guy that you want to have on the field, but also he is versatile for them.
I think he's a highly competitive player. I think he goes out there and competes on every single play. And so that's fully what I would expect for him to do, with us. So I think he brings a little attitude to the football team, which I think is good.
So it's all going to be about Gardner-Johnson getting up to speed. He did take all the first team reps in slot corner in place of Kyler Gordon yesterday. We will hear, I guess, probably on Friday if he did the same and what his status will be heading into this game. But when he was asked how long it's going to take for him to get up to speed, he had a quick, short answer saying, "I'll see you on Sunday."
Just tell me one thing, Cassie, that this guy can cover Jamar Chase.
Can anyone cover Jamar Chase?
No one has
That's
been
going to be the real
yet.
question. I mean, he was the Triple Crown winner last year, and he is Joe Flacco's favorite target. The target numbers are crazy that he's targeted him 54 times over the last 3 games. And so to know that he is going to be looking at Jamar Chase and going to him a lot often, and it's not just the deep explosive passes, it's those short passes as well. He's got to be ready to go in the slot because Jamar Chase is going to be all over the field.
How are the Bears going to create more of a pass rush?
Yeah, I think that's one of those questions that we seem to have each and every year right now. And I think you're looking at Dio Odengbo, who you want to see more production from, because they brought him in with a huge free agent signing and he just hasn't really flashed. And that's something that dates back to training camp. He was one of those players that we didn't really notice much when you're comparing him to the likes of Austin Booker or Dominique Robinson, who had a lot of moments in training camp. And now we're not seeing it really translate in the regular season as well, especially when he's lined up at the edge. And so Ben Johnson pointed out yesterday that they feel like he's actually done a really good job getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks when he's lined up in the interior. But for some reason, as an edge rusher, they're not seeing that production that they want to see from him right now.
Cassie, great work. I'll see you Friday when we sit down and get going with Bears Blitz after Game 6 of the World Series.
Thanks, Lou.
All right, coming up, Good Morning Football's Jamie Erdahl making a fashion statement today. Bears fans are going to love this, and she'll tell us what the national narrative has been on Caleb Williams. Jamie joins us next here on CST Daily.
About your experience with VA made this feel like a comfortable spot for you?
We won a lot of ball together in New Orleans, and the model was the same. Care for me as a player, as a person. And at the time when I was younger, the message was always the same. So I think coming here, him understanding what I can do, and coming to a locker room as veteran presence, I can adapt easier and understand that if I need help, I can just go ask. And I think that's the biggest thing he taught me. First 3 years is if you need help, ask questions, ask the guys around you, go to your teammates, and shout out to KB, Briss, Grady, Jared, Caleb walked up to me. So guys like that just back up what he's saying. It's a great locker room, and guys just really help me win. I just want to help win. I want to win the Super Bowl last year. Sometimes it's not about being the star of the team. Sometimes it's about being the guy to get things done the right way and helping guys get things done the right way. And being on the Super Bowl team last year, you can see how guys go about things and being able to adapt and adjust to your game and really just teach and be a student of the game.
Bears' new nickelback safety, and he'll be playing somewhere Sunday against the Bengals. CJ Gardner-Johnson. All right, let's bring in from the NFL Network, Good Morning Football Overtime, which we carry on Fox Chicago Plus here in Chicago, Channel 50 every day from noon to 2. Jamie Erdahl, nice shirt. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Someone somewhere within the Bears building sent me this, and I think they are such a big person for doing that, since she who hails from that team that's just northwest of you guys. And I like it. I wore one today on GMFB Overtime that said "Believe in Monsters," and now this one says "Da Pope."
I need to pick myself up one of those. Tell me who to call at Hallis Hall so I can get one. All right, we just heard from CJ Gardner-Johnson, who signed with the Bears yesterday. Jamie, his fourth team this season. What do you and the Good Morning Football crew think of this Bears signing?
I think, and I use this term with love, that, desperate times call for desperate measures. And I don't think that he is a desperate measure. It's just that I think if you're this Bears defense, you're just trying to find things that fit and that work. And that's okay. I am accepting of the fact that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson Jr. is not for everybody, which means that he is not going to be a fit in every locker room and for every coaching staff. Now, he's going to speak to the fact that he has played for Dennis Allen before. He is hopefully, sometimes we see cases like this kind of lock in, which is we're seeing it with Stephon Diggs in New England. Sometimes it's just right fit, right team, right unit. And if I'm the Bears defense, I'm hoping that this thing works for not a lot of money and to provide some veteran balance. And hopefully he kind of clocks in on some maturity on the field, that it all becomes a working piece of defense for this team moving forward.
Yeah, all good points. And Kevin Byard said, listen, we actually embrace the fire that he brings on the football field. 2 weeks ago, everyone was talking about the Bears being one of the NFL pleasant surprises this season. And, man, then they lose at Baltimore to a Ravens team without Lamar Jackson. You think the Bears lost some steam, some believers with that loss?
I don't think believers should totally lose hope. I also don't want people white knuckling their couch and prepare for it to be as bad as it was last year when they started 4-2 and the trajectory that the team went on. I don't think we're anywhere near that. I think the entire culture of the building and what we're seeing from the outside looks so different than what we saw last year. I still think the Ravens as a whole, top to bottom, even though they looked like they were in dismay, that's still a strong team, a well-coached team. They were bound to bounce back. The fact that it came against the Bears, that sucks, to be honest. However, if I'm a Bears fan, I think you have a perfect opportunity this weekend to right your own ship the way the Ravens did against you last weekend.
Yeah, no question. I want to talk about the Bengals in a second, but after watching the tape of last week's game against Baltimore, Ben Johnson said Caleb Williams played better than he thought. Now, I'll argue that, yeah, he led the team to 1 touchdown against an awful Ravens defense, and the Bears scored only 16 points. And the highlight plays, they're fun, but if you don't score and win, Jamie, I feel like they're empty calories out there. What do you think?
I used to sit next to Jason McCourty for a long time on Good Morning Football Overtime and Good Morning Football. And whenever I used to complain about quarterbacks around the league, he would turn and look at me with the experienced veteran that he was, having played for a lot of different style of franchises, one for New England and one for Cleveland. You know what was happening in New England at the time. They had one quarterback with one name for a very long time. And in Cleveland, the exact opposite situation. And Jason McCourty used to turn and look at me and say, do you have any other options? What's the better option? And I'm not saying that you should be feeling like we're in dire straits with Caleb Williams, but give the guy a chance. All we ever talk about is this 2024 draft class and how fun it is to watch these quarterbacks develop. But development is not just straight up the mountain. Caleb Williams is even experiencing a setback, or Jaden Daniels is even experiencing a setback this season. Whether it be from injury or not, it's not always going to look perfect.
How long do you think? I mean, how long do you give the #1 pick in the draft to finally get it going with his new head coach?
I would say
the whole season?
Gosh, the whole season for sure. I was going to think in the next season.
Okay.
I had the Steelers-Vikings game in Dublin back in September, and we had the great pleasure of having a production meeting with Aaron Rodgers. And even then, I was able to ask him, looking at a J.J. McCarthy circumstance, what would you do if you had a young quarterback? And he still stands there and says, you don't let him play, don't let him play, don't let him play. That's one philosophical way to approach things. The Packers have had the privilege of doing that several times over in the last couple of decades. That is not what the Bears have. That is not the opportunity they had. Caleb got thrown into the fire, and he has learned so much, I can imagine, in his first season and a half. But you have to look at this thing in totality. I think what's happened in Tennessee is really unfortunate with Cam Ward. You have to give Caleb and Ben, an offensive-minded head coach, time together for sure the whole season before you rain down judgment on either one of them, but also as a collective.
Here's what's scary, Jamie, and I appreciate what you're saying. This Bengals game on Sunday, Bengals with the worst defense in the NFL, it's set up for Caleb to get back on track, and if not, the screams in this town are going to be loud enough for you to hear in Los Angeles. I know it's unfortunate, but it's the truth because this team is starving for great quarterback play.
Lou, let me ask you this, because I know oftentimes you come to us with trying to get a feeling of like the national perspective, which I really appreciate. But I'm curious, when you say fans in your market would be screaming for what? For Tyson Bagent to take over for the team? What would they be screaming for in chance of change if things don't go well this weekend?
Well, I've always said that the backup quarterback who wears a Bears uniform is the most popular player on the roster. It's really been that way since Jim McMahon was playing quarterback back in '85. And that's just what happens. And the demands of Caleb Williams have been so high in this town because he was the first pick in the draft, because he brings incredible talent. That's what the expectation is. But I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, we will. We absolutely will.
Speaking of great quarterbacks, and I say that loosely because he's never been great, but, man, he's been really good. Joe Flacco has a sprain in his throwing shoulder. First of all, what are you hearing about Flacco playing on Sunday?
Still up in the air, and I have to imagine just with kind of that awkward situation that happened last week against you guys with Lamar and the injury report and whatnot, that the Bengals are going to leave him up in the air as long as they possibly can in terms of deciding whether or not he can go.
I know your partner, Kyle Brandt's taking the Bears. Are you allowed to give me a winner in this game?
Sure, I'll take the Bears. Why not? I mean, I figure if I'm wearing my DePope shirt
Yes.
and, We Believe in Monster shirt on GMFB Overtime today, sure, I'll take the Bears. Why not?
You are the best. Thank you so much for the time, Jamie, as always.
Thank you. You too, Lou. Thanks.
All right, Jamie Erdahl joining us from Good Morning Football Overtime that we carry on Fox Chicago Plus. When we come back, we are going to check in with our guy, Nick Costas. We're going to talk about the best plays of the weekend. Plus, I'm going to ask Nick to give us the odds for Game 6 of the World Series. And how about those undefeated Bulls? Stay with us here on CST Daily.
30 seconds for this one. Non-football related. Out of all the things happening in your life right now, Stink, what makes you the most annoyed? What pisses you off the most? Non-football, something non-football in your life.
I'm pretty. See, that's where you guys got me wrong. I'm like. See, now I'm telling on myself. People that don't know how to travel, like nobody wants to see your feet in flip flops on a plane. Not one person. Nobody wants to see you in a tank top with your armpits hanging out. Not like that. Like that drives me insane. Have some couth about you. And, dress appropriately. Put on a pair of pants.
Can I ask you this?
Put on some shoes.
Should the people in flip-flops on airplanes, should they be executed?
Well, I don't know about that, but I always pee on the floor to make sure. I've seen people walk in in socks in the bathroom. I always pee on the floor to make sure if you walk in socks, you're getting urine on your feet.
Oh, joining us now from the BetMGM Network, there's Nick Costas himself. Nick, that is some of the funniest back and forth I have heard. Do me a favor, don't tell Schlereth, because I know Schlereth. I've had dinner with Mark and Adam Amin. They used to be partners on the NFL coverage for Fox. I used to be one of those guys who would walk around the plane in my socks till my wife told me that I couldn't bring the socks back in the house. She was going to throw them out. She was so disgusted, saying exactly what Schlereth said he does in the men's laboratory.
I'm with you, and great to be on with you, Luce. Kind of same sort of deal. I still take my shoes off on the flight and walk around in my socks if I have to. My wife did tell me as well that I think she said she would burn the socks as opposed to throwing them out. But yeah, we're kind of simpatico there. And look, I love Mark Schlereth. He comes on You Bet every week. The most unhinged part of that diatribe there from Stink, it's the idea that it's like him and this hypothetical person in socks are like the only two people on the plane, and like no one else could potentially walk into this bathroom with urine all over the floor. Really funny stuff from Stink on You Bet earlier this week.
Oh, great stuff. All right, I'm going to get into a lot with you here in a little bit of time, so let's get into it. First, our undefeated Bulls have a back-to-back with your Knicks this weekend. Tell me, has the Bulls over-under for wins gone up from 33.5 after their 4-0 start? And if it did, would you grab the over at this point?
Oh, it's certainly been adjusted upwards, and it's not going to go up, like in any major way. But look, it's representative of how the team has done thus far. So the win total has definitely gone up for Chicago, and I do think the Bulls are going to exceed expectations this year. Now, I don't think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I certainly don't think they're going undefeated or anything close to it. I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed, maybe not even a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. But I think, what we've been saying about the Bulls for years is this is the team above all others in the NBA that is ticketed for the play-in. Like, we'll see you in the 7-8 matchup and the 9-10 matchup, and that's what the Bulls' upside is going to be. And I do think that this year the upside has been raised and the ceiling has been raised for the Chicago Bulls. Like, they're playing way better defense this year than they have. Look, small sample size, but the defense has been way better, and you are seeing two young players really start to make the leap. Josh Giddey has been fantastic. Buzelis has been fantastic as well, and I do like this Bulls team. Now, I don't think they're going to win 50 games, but I do think at this point they're going to finish over 500 this year, 42 wins or more for the Chicago Bulls. I do think that's going to happen. Now, as far as the games go the next couple nights, and the Bulls will play the Knicks twice coming up over the next couple days, I would be pretty upset as a Knicks fan, and the Knicks have not started the season that strong. Knicks need to win at least one, if not both of those games. Of course, I'm a Knicks fan saying that. Bulls fans, I do think you have reason for optimism this year.
It's been fun to watch at least through 4 games. All right, Game 6 World Series tomorrow right here on Fox 32 Chicago. Coverage starts, by the way, at 6 o'clock. Where's the line? Who are you taking?
So the Dodgers are a minus 140 road favorite, obviously have to win to stay alive in the World Series and force a Game 7 north of the border. The Dodgers minus 140 in Game 6. Kevin Gausman pitching for the Jays. Toronto plus 120. And the great Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Lou, I don't know if the Dodgers will win Game 7 if they force it. I actually would lean towards Toronto in a Game 7 because I don't trust Tyler Glasnow in that spot. But I feel awesome about the Dodgers winning Game 6, and I actually think this price is short for the Dodgers only to be minus 140 with Yamamoto on the mound.
How about the Bears?
So I think we're going to see Joe Flacco start at quarterback on Sunday for Cincinnati, and that's really the key to this handicap, right? On Wednesday, Joe Flacco doesn't practice. The Bears get bet out to a 3-point road favorite. On Thursday, Joe Flacco is seen at Bengals practice, and now we're back down to Chicago 2.5. So whether or not Flacco or Jake Browning play will dictate where the game closes, and 3 is the most important number when you talk about betting the National Football League. So I would encourage anyone that wants to bet this game, acquire as much information as you can, who's going to start at quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. If it's Jake Browning, I'm going to love the Bears in this game. Browning has been absolutely miserable this season. If it's Flacco and the number is 2.5, Lou, to me, that seems about right. I would actually take a look at the over 52.5, over 51.5 with the Bears and the Bengals. Cincinnati might have the worst defense in the league. This could be the tonic to cure Caleb Williams' ails. And we saw this Bears secondary last week not look great against a Ravens team without Lamar Jackson. Now here's Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, an injured Bears secondary. I like the over in the game. And if Jake Browning starts, I do think the Bears win and cover.
All right, Nick, if we win some money this weekend, I promise you I'm going to buy some of your favorite shoes so you don't take them off on the plane.
I will always take my shoes off on the plane. You gotta let the dogs breathe, my friends.
I hear you, Nick. You're the best, man. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you next week.
Always appreciate it. Wishing you and your viewers minimal sweats winning bets. The absolute very best of luck.
I love it. Nick Costos from BetMGM. Also, thanks to Jamie Erdahl from the NFL Network and our very own Cassie Carlson from Hallis Hall, who got us up to date on the Bears. We're off on Friday because of the World Series, Game 6, but we will see you back on Sunday night, 10 o'clock, for Chicago Sports Tonight, breaking down the Bears-Bengals game. See ya!